You're listening to the Brand Builders Podcast with your hosts Scott Dunstan and Brian Young.
Welcome to another episode of the award-winning Brand Builders Podcast powered by the Dunstan Group. My name is Brian Young, and we are here with the president of the Dunstan Group, Scott Dunstan. And we are here with a good friend, Keith Poettker, who is the CEO from Poettker Construction. Amazing organization with amazing people. And honestly, everyone I've met over there is genuine. Everyone I've met over there gives you the time of day, no matter what your position is. And that's not something that I have experienced with all types of construction companies. So you should be very proud of the team that you've built and how they not only respect your business, but how they portray your business on a daily basis. And that's something that I've noticed every time I've interacted with anyone over there. So let's talk a little bit about Poettker Construction. You know, data released this summer shows the AIA Consensus Construction Forecast predicts a 20% increase in non-residential building spending this year, a surge not seen since the pre-Great Recession boom times. Now, spending increases are anticipated across manufacturing, commercial, institutional, and industrial construction, but will it or can it last? Now, if you look around the Carolinas, there seems to be a lot of work happening, specifically right here in Charlotte, and Poettker Construction is in the thick of that boom. Their CEO, Keith Poettker, is here and is our guest on the award-winning Brand Builders podcast. We're so excited to dive into not only this brand, but you and your past, and are just excited for you to join us on this episode of the award-winning Brand Builders podcast.
Thank you, Brian. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Keith. And before we get into all those predictions and whatnot, tell us a little more about Poettker Construction, and has it been a great year for you guys thus far?
So it has been a really good year. We've built just some amazing relationships and strong growth, and even strong growth in the next year, which will likely pay dividends to help carry us through any potential recession. But we're off to a really strong start. Our fiscal year ended September 30th. And then as far as our history, my father started the business in 1980. He Vietnam War veteran, came back from the service in 72. He was one of 10 siblings. He had 9 siblings.
Wow.
Farm family, and the only thing that he knew is whenever he got back, he didn't want to work on the family farm. But he didn't know what he wanted to do. So he followed his oldest brother, Dan, into the trades and went into the apprenticeship program for the Carpenters Union, and graduated out of that program in June of 1977. Worked his way up to become a superintendent for some construction companies out of St. Louis, and then finally, in 1980, in June of 1980, he decided to start his own company, and not sure how he made it, but he did. I'm a 77 model. My brother Kevin is a 74 model. So at that time, whenever he started, we were a family of 4, and we had one on the mom and dad had one on the way. They were Ryan was on the way. So that was a big task, but somehow or another they made it, started out in 1980, and then in 82 he started building modular buildings for that you would drop on the local air base, and he did that for about 4 years. So he looked at his competition, what his competition was doing in that market, and they were subcontracting all of the work for the modular component, and so he built a shed and started making these modular buildings himself, and then he bought a flatbed trailer and started shipping them, and he did that for about 4 years. So And then in 86, he took a drive to a company called Walmart. They were
Who?
Yeah.
What's like? Never heard of them.
They had to just been getting going.
Yeah,
man.
never heard of them. Oh yeah, actually.
Yeah. So took a drive to Bentonville, Arkansas to Walmart was having a supplier outreach event. Didn't have an appointment, and went to that outreach event, and we've been working for them for the last 40 years.
Wow,
no kidding.
That's amazing.
So, that's awesome.
It's all about building relationships and building trust and treating people as you would want them to treat you. Live by the golden rule, and when you mess up, admit that you messed up, and then figure out how to make things right at whatever cost. Figure out how to make it right, so that the relationship is intact at the end of the day, and that's how we've grown our business. So.
Love it. That's really good, sound advice, and congratulations on your success this far.
Thank you. So I've got 3 siblings in the business with me today. Unfortunately, we lost Dad 2 years ago, July 17th of 21. But I've got 3 siblings in the business. My brother Ryan is president of the firm. And of course, I'm CEO and chairman of the board, and my sister Kimberly is chief financial officer, and my brother Kevin is vice president of business development. So those are my siblings, and then obviously we've got just a tremendous amount of team members, outside of just my siblings that have grown up in the business and been in the business for, a long, long time. So we've got great people in the organization.
Well, God bless your father, and we appreciate his service for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was a huge foundation in his leadership and the way he operated and built this company initially. Now, are you guys headquartered in Charlotte now?
We are headquartered out in Breeze, Illinois.
Okay.
Just outside of St. Louis. We opened up the Charlotte office in April 2019, and then Amanda and I and my son Brecken, we moved out here in January 2020. So just in time for the pandemic.
Jump right into isolation. Yeah. Charlotte.
This is great.
So in 2019, we're going through 2019, and in the fall of 2019, I told Amanda, I said, you know what, I've got a lot of networking opportunities in Charlotte in the spring of 2020. I think we just need to make the move right after the first of the year.
I'm going to be seeing all types of people.
So you drove down and didn't even see anybody on the road. I'm not sure anybody lives here.
This place is booming. Yeah, right.
Golly. But so we got into an apartment in Waverly. We stayed in an apartment in Waverly there, and we thought we were only going to be in that apartment for about 10 months. And with the pandemic, that actually was kind of lit a fire on residential, right? Mm-hmm. And some of these home builders that were building 3 to 4 homes, we were building a home at the time. And some of these home builders, instead of building 3 to 4, now they're building 10 to 12, and so our home actually took us, 19 months. And so we were in this apartment, for 19 months. So,
during COVID.
Oh. But hey,
that's either going to make or break a family right there. I can promise you that.
But it was kind of a blessing in disguise because, if we were in a house, we may have not met the people that we ended up meeting. A lot of people that were in the apartment were transient people moving into Charlotte anyways, just like us. And, everybody would congregate at the barbecue grilling station or, wherever, and you'd get to interact, and so that was a good thing. So
for sure.
Yeah.
I love it. I want to go back to what you first said, and we talked a little bit about this, but I love your answer when you say, tell me about Poettker Construction. And when you first said we build, I was just waiting for you to say amazing buildings and amazing this. You didn't even mention anything that you build except building relationships. And you talked a little bit about how important that is. Tell me about what that means to you. And I've gotten, like I said, the opportunity to interact with a lot of people at networking events, at events that you've sponsored. Thank you so much for your generosity on that. But I am 100% honest when I say this. Like, you have an amazing culture that you have developed. And every person I've ever met there generally is having a conversation, and I never feel that they want to get something from me or they want me to introduce them to somebody. There's no alternative, like there's no alternative motive, right? They're not trying to, they just want to get to know me. They want to treat me as an individual. You don't get that from every construction company, especially if you're not in the construction space, right? Oh, you're not a land developer and whatever. I mean, all right, what do? You sell branded merch? Well, shit, I'm not talking to this guy, but I've never had that experience with you guys. And I think that has to come down from the foundation that your father, set. And then obviously what you and your siblings are doing, but go into that a little bit more. Is that the norm when they talk about what Poettker Construction is? The first thing is we build relationships.
That is, ultimately, when we hire people, we explain to them that, whether it's a project manager, superintendent, or an estimator, or whoever, business development, whoever is interacting with, our clients, our subcontractor partners, that, look at a situation, from what is the impact of that situation long term, not necessarily, that short lens. The short-sighted decision is totally different than looking at it from what the impact could be to the relationship. Are you going to grow the relationship out of the decision, or are you going to sever the relationship? So those are all, those are big decisions, and, we've had some hard decisions because of that. I remember in the 90s, an unclassified site that they spent a lot of legal efforts on, to develop this definition of unclassified site and what that means. And we had a site that, we developed this estimate and this plan around, and even explained, about, how we had developed this proposal, because it was a very complicated site development proposal. Lots of different soils involved, and implications with high plasticity and all this stuff. And most of it was developed around a geotech consulting report, and so. When the rubber met the road and we were actually on site and things were different than what was, initially discussed, it was some contentious relationships, and it was several $1 million worth of cost issues. And, at that time, we were a small company, and I told Dad, I said, Dad, we're in the right here. We are completely in the right. We've explained it, and he said, what's that going to prove? Where's the relationship go? And so we figured out, how to get through that, and how to value engineer that site. And we took a problem, and we grew the relationship, and it was some difficult discussions, but ended up growing the relationship as opposed to severing it. That was probably our biggest issue, but that we've ever had to overcome, in terms of, $3.5 million issue. That's a big issue.
It's a big issue. It's a very big issue. I've not had that big of an issue. Yeah, it's a big one.
But we've had roof issues. We've had water infiltration issues, and so you learn from those. But a lot of times in construction, it's the school of hard knocks. Is you learn from that and you move on and you work through those details so that you don't repeat them. But yeah, so.
Right. Well, and so you guys are working in warehouse, defense, school, retail, healthcare, and lots of other large-scale building spaces. Where are you seeing most of that work done today? And what do you want to continue to pursue in terms of industry with Poettker?
So here in Charlotte, we're seeing just a lot of warehouse distribution development going on, although things have somewhat slowed a little bit just because of underwriting. Underwriting is getting to be more difficult. We still see strong growth on the multifamily, mixed use development side, I think that there's still going to be that growth in the Charlotte market and in the Southeast market in general. And then any time that there's at least for the last 40 years, any time that there's been a concern about a recession or slow to flat growth, on the retail side, we've actually picked up because our retail clients tend to reinvest heavily in their stores and in their trying to streamline their efforts to get product to the customer during those times. Mm-hmm. So like Walmart's, reinvesting in their product, Amazon, Target. Those clients for us have always done really well in terms of trying to streamline their efforts to ultimately lower cost and provide that same level of service. So we've got a lot of retail work coming up in 24, and on the defense side, we've got quite a bit of federal work. Although we'll see what the politics.
I'll say that might
out.
pick up too the way things are shaping up right now.
Yeah. So a lot of federal work, and then I think long term there's going to be quite a bit of public sector work that hasn't hit the market yet. Right now you've got what I would call shovel ready public infrastructure stuff that's hit the market and stuff, but 2026 and 2027, the U.S. is probably gonna peak in their public sector infrastructure spend for the history of the country. Wow. So we'll see how that all plays out. Whenever I say public sector, it's in infrastructure. That's not necessarily just roads and bridges. It's schools. It's fire stations, police stations, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Very cool.
You guys are in all of it. And one of the things I'm an Eagle Scout and I'm on the board for the Sporting Clays event. And you guys recently just sponsored that event. And you guys do an amazing job of giving back. You guys even have a hashtag Poettker Gives Back. And you guys are involved in a lot of different stuff. Tell me, has that something that you guys have always done? And how important is it for you guys to not only be involved in your community, but give back to your community as well?
Yeah, it's giving back and is one of the values of our company, is to reinvest in the community that we live, work, and play. And it's not necessarily just giving back in dollars. A lot of it is giving back in your time, and so we do a lot of that. We look at giving back in a lot of different ways, but when we talk about giving back in terms of time, some of it's mentorship, and obviously, all of it is just trying to do your part to be to make the world a better place at the end of the day, right? But we do try to promote the construction industry and promote the AEC industry whenever we are giving back, and so that could be the Boy Scouts. That could be we sponsor merit badges back at for Boy Scouts, where we'll take a group of kids and show them how to lay out a square, lay out four corners, and how to bring safety into so that's I think they call it the serving badge or whatever it is, but and then we've got a safety merit badge that we sponsor, and that's taking what we learned for safety on a construction site and how can you bring some of that back to your house, and so so
I love that. I mean, as an Eagle Scout, you do so many different merit badges, and a lot of them are just reading in a book and you're in a small group and you don't really get to see what the actual I can't even talk about it. The actual implementations. I can't even talk right now.
Implications.
Yes. Thank you, Scott. Wow. I've only been doing this for like 7 years, so it's fine. You gotta have a hiccup every once in a while. But in that, like that real life experience, right? And that is so important for kids that are 12 years old to like 16 years old. It's kind of like the bulk of the people in scouting to be able to go and see a construction site or see what it is about safety. That experience, they're going to learn it. More than just reading it in a book, right? And they're going to take that along. So good for you guys. More companies need to do that.
Yeah, we'll teach them. How do you properly use a step ladder? How can you go around and check your fire extinguishers? So
little things like that.
Things,
right. It is, and this is also an interesting thing. I'm somebody that is very hands-on. I'm not as good as my father as being hands-on, but he taught me from a real young age, right? If you can do it, do it. Yeah. If now electrical, we don't mess with that. If it's like heavy electrical, I'm paying somebody. I'm not trying to
plumbing.
But around our home, I'm not paying somebody to mow my lawn. I'm doing it, right? I'm not paying somebody to paint if it's something simple. I'm doing it, right? Like I'm going to try. I have friends that literally in college would call like the front, thing or whatever at their apartment and be like, my light bulb is out. And I'm like, you don't know how to change a light bulb? What the hell did your parents teach you? But you see that trend more and more and more.
Right.
And what we've seen in scouting is to be able to give kids that opportunity to learn something that's different, that's hands-on, that they actually will get to have that experience is so amazing. Yeah. We talked about it yesterday when you walk into a school, and we've been in 1,600 schools here locally, and talk about scouting. Do you want to go hiking? Do you want to go camping? Do you want to go fishing? Every single person's kids, or every hands up. Black, white, Mexican, purple, girl, boy, it doesn't matter. Right. They all want to do that, right? But the reality is that's going to get them into the program. Then you teach them to be a great person. You teach them to be somebody that can support that. So as a company and coming together with that, it's awesome. So anyways, enough about the Boy Scouts. This isn't about the Boy Scouts. This is about you. What are some projects kind of in closing here that maybe people that are listening would see, maybe if they're driving down the interstate, or something that you've done locally here in the Charlotte area that might be a really cool project, or really anywhere in the country if you want to talk about some of this?
Well, then I'm going to promote my our clients, right?
Let's do it.
So we've done some work for North Point Development, and they've got an industrial business park in Salisbury, and then that we've been a part of, and then also in Gaston County, and then currently we've got three. We're involved in 3 industrial business parks for Crow Holdings, Crow Holdings Industrial, and 2 different industrial business parks in Gaston County that we're working on, and one in the Salisbury area. So, and let's see, we've got a lot of retail work coming up for Walmart. We just landed. We talked a little bit about Walmart, but we did just land some retail stores for them in the Charlotte market.
Nice.
So that's
How many Walmarts are there in the world?
there's 5,500. Wow, 5,500 Walmart stores.
Are you guys building the stores? Or are you building the distribution centers, or both? Or
We're involved in all of their construction efforts. So with the exception of maintenance time and equipment stuff. Gotcha. So we don't repair parking lots and bathrooms, stuff like that. But we do store conversions. So distribution center work. So like right now for them, on the store conversion side, they're looking at their super centers, and you got Walmart e-commerce now, and looking at their super centers and saying, we don't need a 200,000 or 180,000 square foot super center. What we really need is maybe an 80,000 square foot super center, and taking that extra square footage and converting that into a distribution space for Walmart e-commerce. And what does that mean? So
very cool.
Those become big projects. But yeah, and we're doing, let's see, we've got some cross dock terminal work coming up for R&L carriers. So a lot of industrial stuff. So yeah.
Are you guys starting to see manufacturing make a comeback to the U.S. Since the pandemic? Has that elevated, or some of these industrial spaces, are they manufacturing, or are they more distribution warehouse type stuff? Or both?
Yeah, I think it's a little and a lot of both, actually. When you start talking about manufacturing, that's in bringing back manufacturing into the U.S., that's not an overnight play. That's not a year-long play.
Decades, I would say.
That's at least a decade to get that, because you've got suppliers, second-tier suppliers, even third-tier suppliers that need to be on board with that. But certainly on the warehouse distribution space, that's an immediate thing that's happening. And so part of that is, because the U.S. has such tensions with China right now, that a lot of what's going on globally is trade is moving from the Pacific, across the Pacific, to across the Atlantic. What does that mean for Charlotte? Well, that's huge for Charlotte. That's huge for the Southeast.
Absolutely.
Because, now all of a sudden, you're reinvesting in billion-dollar expansions on the ports.
Charleston.
The Port of Charleston. Port of Charleston.
East Coast.
The Port of Savannah, the Port of Wilmington. You've got 3 ports where you've got rail access and interstate access that flows up from those ports, in and around the Charlotte economic region, and then up to the Northeast. So
we're a hub.
So Charlotte's becoming a transportation hub, and it will certainly be a transportation hub, especially with the relationships continuing to get closer to Europe, and less. So anyway,
that's good to hear.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
that's a pretty bullish statement. I would say.
So as we kind of close this up, what's the future of Poettker Construction? Where do you want this to be when you finally pass it on to maybe somebody else in the family?
So the future is we're working through strategic planning right now for. Right now, we're in the middle of a strategic plan that lasts through 2025. So we're working on 2025 through 2030 right now, and we see significant growth in the Southeast. We see potentially we're planning a Southeast headquarters in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So that hasn't gotten the headlines yet, but it will.
Congratulations!
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Thank you. So I've been working for 4 years trying to find industrial property.
Yeah. Speaking of, right?
in the Charlotte region, right? And in 2019, farm rural boy from the Midwest that comes to Charlotte, and industrial property in Southern Illinois, not necessarily up in the Chicago burbs, but in Southern Illinois at that time, 15,000 an acre, 20,000 an acre, all of a sudden I come here and I'm looking for industrial property, and there was a great piece of property, 30 acres just south of the Charlotte airport, and it was $150,000 an acre. I was like, you gotta be out of your mind.
$100,000 more, man. No big deal.
You gotta be out of your mind. No way.
$3 million more.
Yeah, what?
So that piece of property.
Location.
So that piece of property, one, you can't get that piece of property anymore. But that piece of property is probably $450,000 an acre today, right? So, but anyways, we passed on that property, and we've been searching and finally found 20 acres of property in Rock Hill. So still in that Charlotte economic region. And,
of course.
Hey, tax breaks in South Carolina are better too.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll love to have you for sure.
Absolutely. So, I'm sure they were open. Come on down. Rock Hill's the nicest people ever. They're like, come on down from Charlotte. We got you.
So that's in the planning stage.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, what's the best way for people that would be interested in working with you, working for you, even just having a conversation, right? Connecting the dots. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you, and then also follow the Poettker Construction story?
So there's a lot of ways to get in contact. Obviously through our website, but also calling in and going through our human resources department is perfectly fine too. And then also, LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn extensively, so that's a good model for me. So
I love it. So when I say Poettker, it's Poettker. A lot of people call it Poettker, and that ain't it. It's Poettker. Is that right?
Poettker.
Poettker. See, I've been butchering. I'm going after my producer. He put Puttker where he told me to say Poettker. So, well, that's how you spell it, is Poettker, construction.com. Go connect with our good friend Keith on LinkedIn as well. And just thank you so much for joining us and telling our story. Congratulations on taking the really the reins from your father at a time when you probably didn't think that they were going to be passed to you, but you've taken that, and I know your father would be so proud of what you've been able to do and all of your siblings, and you guys have just created a very amazing company, right, that I just think does the right thing. And a lot of the stuff that you said about, making things right is the same vision that we have. And it's great to have an owner that gives you the ability to fail and also gives you the ability to make up for that, no matter what it costs the company. Yeah. And I feel that a lot of our relationships have come from that, right? We're in the custom space. We're not building buildings, but things happen. Yeah. How do you react to that? How do you make it right? And we're given that authority from Scott to make it right. And that's something that a lot of owners don't do. You might be almost too scared to fail. Whereas here, I want you to fail. Just learn from it. Right. You know what I mean? Like, let's not do it again. You know what I mean? It's all good. Like, let's make this right, but maybe we don't do it again. You know what I mean? But you're a great man, a great family man, and a great business owner. So thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thank you. It's been great. Really appreciate it. We're having a blast. We've got such wonderful people that work with us. I love the construction industry. I love the AEC space, the relationships that you develop with people. those are so important and impactful. So, yeah,
absolutely. And I can't believe I did the whole podcast. I didn't give Mike Yosway a shout out with Carolina Built. That's how we were connected.
That's right.
Mike's amazing. Really, everybody in that organization's amazing. They do amazing events, but really the people that are there. And when I talked about, not necessarily being in the AEC space, that experience wasn't at those events. Everybody is very, welcoming, and Mike's just a connector himself. So that's how we got connected and how we met. And it's great to create a friendship through that as well.
Welcome to Charlotte, man.
Yeah,
we're excited. I love to hear those stories because you hear about growth and how business friendly and everyone wants to be in Charlotte. But this is from the horse's mouth, and I hope you're finding that your move and everything you're doing is beneficial because as small business people, we that's our success. That's our community, the people here, and so love to hear it, man.
Yeah. All right, last question. What do we need to do to get the Carolina Panthers a better football team? I mean, what's going on over here? That's the last thing. That's the last thing we're missing here, Charlotte. We just need a winner. We need a winner in something. Yeah, we need a winner in something.
Let's keep the faith. I think I think Bryce Young. I think he's such a talented quarterback. I think give him 2 years. You know, man, give him 2 years, and then we can make a decision.
Look at Tua. Great example.
Yeah.
I mean, they both came from the same place.
Yeah.
And the first year Tua was there, what was everybody saying? Right. Oh, you passed up on Herbert. You passed up on Herbert.
Exactly.
Now look at Tua.
Oh, look at Mayfield doing things down in
You're
Tampa.
right.
Exactly.
You're right.
We missed on that.
Yeah. Hey, it's not only the quarterback. You got to put the pieces around him too. Like there's
back
that's got
to the leadership
time.
thing. Everything
100%.
needs to tick.
100%. You can't just buy an awesome quarterback and be like, he's going to be the man. He's going to make everybody look great.
Right.
Hopefully in the future. Well, that's awesome. Keith, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you guys the best of success. Also give a shout out to Connor. Connor, you're awesome. I saw you at the pool and you actually were wearing a Carolina Built hat. And my wife said, that guy's wearing a Carolina Built hat. And I walked over there, had no idea it was Adam Hawthorne's brother. But we had a great conversation and got to hang out at the pool pretty much all summer and got to know him really well. And he's a great guy.
So that's another way to reach out is Connor Tomlinson is our Southeast client relations manager. And so certainly reach out to him and he'll be able to point you in the right direction. So.
That's right. I love it. Well, thank you again, Keith, for joining us. Everybody go check him out, follow him on LinkedIn or connect, I'm trying to throw my Instagram in there. And until next time, I forgot to mention, like, share, comment. I always mention that. Got to show the love. But until next time, you've been listening to this episode of the award-winning Brand Builders podcast.
You've been listening to the Brand Builders podcast, brought to you by the Dunstan Group with your host, Scott Dunstan and Brian Young. For branded merchandise and apparel that makes first impressions and ones that last, check out the Dunstan Group at dunstangroup.com.